I've hit record. So, gorgeous ones, thanks so much for joining this super duper exciting call. So just to give you a little bit of an intro, I'm very, very, very honoured to be able to introduce you all to James Knight. So James and I, so for those of you that don't really know me that are on the call, well, obviously I'm Alex Smallman. I'm a health and lifestyle coach, and I have a beautiful whole food nutrition business, and it's through that business that I got to know James. And James and I help people in a very, very, very similar way. We help people with true foundational health. I absolutely love everything that James does. I've been lucky enough to know James for the past 4.5 years. He's well, I won't give too much away, but he's an amazing strength and conditioning coach and a transformational coach for women. And the reason I've asked him to come onto this call this evening is because I've been working very, very closely with James recently to get myself some extra personal results. And we know that we have something very special in our hands to be able to help lots and lots of people. So I want to introduce you to James and ask James to just take it away, because he's going to focus his attention around a subject that is a continual question, mainly amongst women. I hear it all the time. Women just not managing to rid themselves of that extra layer. And everything that James does and the way he speaks is bang on true to my heart. And yeah, you are going to be in for a real treat, and you're going to learn lots of amazing info that you'll be able to take away, get excited about. And we've also got lots of loveliness that we can also help you with together. Okay, so James, thanks so much for joining the call. I will make sure everybody's muted, and yeah, take it away.
No problem. Okay, guys. Well, hopefully you don't mute me as well, Alex. Okay, that has been done before. Yeah, so thanks very much for inviting me on the call. And I know, I'm sorry if it's disturbing people's family time and Love Island time, and apologies about that, but health is more important at the end of the day. Hopefully people see it that way. I'm not too sure the demographic of people on the call, whether it's mainly female or a mixture of the two. But either way, fat loss and belly fat is significant with everyone. And what I wanted to do is sort of just make you understand, mainly for women really, but men will be able to relate to this, is why our bodies change in the way they do, and why, belly fat or fat in general is an issue as we age. Now, I did a talk the other day to another community in Ireland about the whole +40. Well, in actual fact, training for me, I'm actually approaching 40 now, and training for me is not going to change. Eating for me is not going to change, but it doesn't have to change so much if you're already conditioned and you already have that discipline to eating healthy and training now. Whatever I share with you tonight, I want you to understand it doesn't matter what age you are at currently, there are things that you can do about it right now, today. And I love that, the fact that you do actually have control on the whole, not to a full extent, but to an extent for the aging process. So you can actually control the way it pans out. And don't blame your genetics either, okay? I want you to know that that's not what you need to do. So what happens is our hormones are generally responsible for the way body fat is distributed and how our bodies transform throughout the ages. Now, as we're in our adolescence and we go into our puberty years, okay, hormones are all over the place. They're like sparks. They're high and they're up and they're down, and our moods are changing, and we're gaining spots and we're getting hair in areas that we never thought we can grow hair, and all these things are happening, right? And we all can relate to that on the call. But right the way up to our 25, about 25, now I'm being more generalistic or more specific to women now. Obviously, things like estrogen, these are hormones now, estrogen, testosterone and growth hormone are very sort of high and robust within our bodies at that time. So it's through our sort of early years, right the way up to sort of 25. Now, everyone talks about the plus 40, where everything starts to sort of drop and lower and increase in certain areas. Well, actually, 25 is where these hormones start to reduce. So testosterone, even women do have testosterone, but not like men do. Okay, testosterone starts to lower, estrogen starts to lower, growth hormone starts to lower. And, this is a kind of issue. And this is where, you start to see your body changing. Now, at the age of 35, interestingly, our fats, our muscle cells, or certain cells, particularly our muscle cells, start to reduce. Okay, and this is not great. Why? Because muscle cells are metabolically active, which basically means it's very significant when it comes to our metabolism. They have a role to play with our metabolism. The more muscle you have, right, and this is why we're going to talk about why you need to maintain and increase muscle mass. The more muscle mass you have, the faster and more efficient your metabolism is at burning calories at rest. So this is why we talk about, and women need to really understand this, preserving muscle mass needs to be key when it comes to your training. It needs to be a prime focus. So if you are not training, right, and throughout your 30s and 40s and so forth, like 50s, 60s, if you are not training, okay, the speed of which your muscle mass degenerates will obviously amplify. And if you're not watching your diet and not watching portion control and not really caring about your calories and the source of your food, again, the changes will occur faster and more severe. It's just the way it is, because our hormones are changing, like I've just explained to you, from the age of 25 and so forth. Now, interestingly, our body fat, as we age too, changes in distribution. So whereas before, in our younger years, it's more subcutaneous, so that means it's more into the fat between our muscles and our skin, and it goes more into visceral, i.e., not the good stuff, the organs and the belly fat area. So I see it like, for instance, for guys, they get the dad bod. Okay, they get the dad bod, they get the sort of the 1 minute they had the six pack, next minute they got the belly. And women are starting to, they start to get that in their 30s and 40s as well. And this fat distribution, it just shifts. Okay, and it's noticeable. And I see it all the time when women contact me online. They're like, I'm putting belly fat on, I don't know why. And we'll talk about that in a second. But mostly it's down to hormone and the fact that you're not doing enough about it right now. And when you're reaching into your sort of menopausal years, okay, and again, I know it's more women what I'm talking about, as you reach into menopausal years, sort of due to the lowering of progesterone and estrogen, even though you'll still be slightly more estrogen dominant, okay, the insulin and cortisol is higher. So this, again, stress hormone and insulin can be linked into more of a fat storage hormone. This will also aid in fat storage. And I bet you're all thinking, oh my God, this is just negative, negative, negative. It's not in a second. When we get to the age of about 65, then you're gaining weight right the way up to 65. And I just want to give you a little scary statistic here. Up towards your menopausal years, you can gain up to 30% more body fat if you're not doing something about it. But at the age of 65, then you start to lose weight through muscle atrophy and bone density reduction. Again, if you're not doing something about it. Now, belly fat, I know we're talking about belly fat as well, but what I try to tell you to start off with is why we gain weight and why fat distributes in certain areas, and mainly for women, because I know there's many women on the call. But guys, dudes, you will also gain weight in that area too if you don't do something about it. Now, belly fat, basically, it's quite simple when you look at it. When you consume food, it goes into your stomach, mixes with bile acid, goes through a little thin tube, goes for a big sort of transportation system right into your liver where it gets metabolized. All your food and everything you drink, it gets metabolized in the liver. Okay. Now, if you're eating lots of nutrients, your body's like, your liver's like, great, we'll just distribute all those nutrients out to the body, and your liver will work nice and smoothly with no congestion. Think of all these little motorways in your liver, and it's all just running smoothly. Everything's cool. Everything's on green. But if you're eating and consuming toxic foods and toxic substances, okay, your liver becomes congested. and it becomes what's known as fatty liver. Okay. And what happens is, to keep it very simple, all that rubbish gets stored as fat around the midline, giving you sort of that oval shape, that dad bod that we look at, that extra belly fat. Now, if you think about it, as we're aging, all these hormones are happening. What I've just explained to you, all these sort of hormones are decreasing and other hormones are going up. And this is just amplifying that effect of belly fat distribution, or fat in general, increasing our fat production. We're not moving as much. We're not exercising enough. We're not exercising right. We're not eating and watching our foods. Well, yeah, you're getting congested liver, and the hormones are just amplifying that. That's why fat increase as we age is just a very sort of fast process. And again, if you're not doing something about it. So there's some really simple things that you can do. Really simple. But, you know, in general, is the first thing I would say is eliminating processed foods. It doesn't need to get any harder than that. But why? Well, most processed foods, again, I don't class them as foods in general, but a lot of them will have a preservative in them, or some forms of preservative to keep them. And it'll be like salts and sugars. Now, ladies will always talk about having water retention. Well, if you're in processed foods, you are going to have water retention because of the sodium content in there. But also because of most of the carbohydrates we're eating today. Don't forget, for every 1 gram of carbohydrate you consume, your body will retain 300 grams of water. Carbohydrates aren't bad, but if you're eating lots and lots of carbohydrates, then you will feel heavier and more full of fluid. So that compounded with sodium, that's what you're going to have. The next thing is sugar. Now, we have to take a mature look at this. And I don't want to ever be insulting or arrogant, but we are adults, and we do need to take an adult approach at things. And, you know, you've got to be mature in our decisions. So if anyone ever contacted me and said, look, I know I've gained body fat around here, I don't know why. Well, it generally is down to two things: too many calories, okay, and not enough exercise, okay? And then it'd be down to the source of the food. But when it comes to sugar, we know it's bad, but yet we consume high levels of it. And if you want to shift belly fat and you're consuming lots of sugar, then it's a bit like chucking a marble at an elephant's butt and explaining that they're thinking it's going to turn around and say hello. It's just not going to happen, right? You're not going to get a reaction. You're literally just going to keep on gaining that belly fat there, because that's all sugar does. It goes straight on that area there. Alcohol is a toxin, no matter how we look at it. The odd drink here and there is fine, but it's what it does at a hormonal level. It inhibits your ability to burn fat. It blocks an anabolic signaling, so it stops the process of building muscle. It messes with your gut bacteria, and it makes you do things you shouldn't really do. But what happens is, as you compound that, plus the added calories, all right, and the hormonal effect, it always seems to go around the middle area. So again, if you're wanting to reduce belly fat, you've got to rethink your alcohol consumption. And again, it's not good for your liver. And we're just heightening that problem as we age. Now, the next thing, okay, is things like grains and dairy. Now, I have no problem with milk in general, but I do have a problem with what they've done to dairy. Now, what you've got to think about in milk today, it's filled with antibiotics and sex hormones and medications and growth hormones that are designed to turn an 80-pound cow into an 800-pound cow in a matter of 6 months. There's a big difference, okay? And it's not designed for us. So it's only going to compound the effect. And grains elevate estrogen. And most grains now are so highly processed and toxic, they're not that great for you. So again, you've got to rethink these things. With all that mixed together, if you can reduce these and add whole food nutrition in, you're supporting your liver in doing what it needs to do. It's not so congested and so forth. Here's the good news. That's one thing that you can do. Obviously, eating a higher plant-based diet, absolutely. Eating quality source of food. Making sure that you're being more focused on your portion control, because guys, you're gaining weight because you're consuming too many calories, right? Gluten doesn't make you fat. High calories do. We blame gluten all the time. We blame certain things, but it's not. It's the amount of calories you're consuming from what you're burning off. It's just the way it is. It's simple science when it comes to that. Weight training for me, guys, and for all the elite trainers I worked with for these last 17 years will say the same thing. Doesn't matter what age you are at. You've now understood that we're losing valuable muscle as we age, and muscle cells are they correlate with the metabolism, the metabolic rate. So the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolic rate is. So surely our focus should be on preserving muscle mass. How do you do that? You do that by stimulating and working those muscles regularly through forms of resistance training, weight training, and so forth. Proper programming would be really good. Okay, and it needs to be done regularly. I would say all my female clients, I say a minimum of 3 weight sessions per week. And what that does is it helps to elevate growth hormone, okay, which is an anti-aging hormone, keeps the stimulus there, keeps the strong integrity around the joint, and guess what? Keeps your bone density nice and healthy throughout the ages. So if you're not doing weight training now, you need to start doing it. Doesn't matter what age you are. I've got clients one-to-one and online above the 65 bracket. I know it works because I've had clients in their 70s that still act like they're in their 40s. They're challenging trainers every day and they've been doing weights for 20, 30 years. You can do it and start now and it will make a huge change to your metabolism. So all this endless cardio, no. Get weight training, you can do it. And then more focus on your protein to repair will really help you because you need to make sure you're repairing your muscles every single day. And that's the one common denominator that doesn't change. So with that being said, the nutritional element is absolutely paramount to look after your liver, making sure that you're getting the nutrients in. And I always say a higher plant-based focus, quality of source focus, a good source of protein, whether you're vegan, pescatarian, vegetarian, or man-eater. I say man-eater, but making sure that quality is there. That's one side of it. Being more aware of what you're consuming, making sure that you're removing the amount of toxins, i.e. from alcohol and sugar, processed foods, great. And then weight training, resistance training weekly will play a massive role, significant impact in not only reducing body fat in general, but belly fat as well as slowing the aging process, keeping joint integrity, reversing the chance of injury, slowing down the aging process. It's all good from there. It's just, it needs to be a formulated plan. When anyone starts, if you're just fresh, into the gym or home workouts, you haven't done anything like this before, it has to be a steady process. Same as nutrition. You can't just clear everything out at once. Okay, you've got to start a steady process. And I think, Alex, that's where you come in from what you do, and I watch what you guys do, and it's fantastic. It's about simplifying things more. And same with my online clients. I don't like to baffle people's minds with science because it can be quite boring to most. They just want A, B, C. And that's where this does come in. But everything is so simple because we know sugar's bad for us. We know alcohol's bad for us. We know processed food's bad for us. We know we've got to train. We know we've got to drink plenty of water. We've got to eat fruits and vegetables. But yet we still seem to seek the answers when we know the answers. It's kind of delaying the obvious. So when people come to see me, I give the baseline. We have an honesty call. We understand where they're going wrong, and we start implementing those changes over a course of time so it becomes a habit. And I don't care whether you've had 3, 4, 5, 6 children, you can get rid of it. You can go. Men, you can remove those dad bods. You just got to want to do it. Okay? And it doesn't matter what age you're at. I think I waffled on a bit too much there, haven't I?
No, not at all, James. Not at all. And I always love, I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody on the call, it's always fascinating to be able to, just listen to somebody else with knowledge, and I think that's the real key. And I think the lovely thing about life now, and this is how I always love to do business and do life, if you like, is by collaboration, sharing what we all have going on. Everybody has something to bring to the table, and to be able to have you on this call, and I'm sure that everybody on the call has learned something, and has probably had one of those little aha moments of thinking, yeah, that's me, tick, tick, tick. No, I don't do that. Yes, I do that. Or, you know, and that's the kind of whole point, is just having a bit of realness, and that's what I love about
it. Well, I think as well, if you look at, everybody needs to, who's on this call right now, they shouldn't just start something because they hate their body. They should start it because they love their body. And it's not about discipline. It's not about sacrifice. It's about self-respect.
Yeah.
Now, it's so many people spend so much money on clothes and brand name clothes, you know, and it doesn't matter how expensive that clothing is or how nice that clothing is. If you don't feel good on the inside, and you'll never feel good in those clothes. I know I shouldn't say it, but we have a saying in Wales, if you're a twat, it doesn't matter if you drive, a Mercedes Benz, you're still a twat. Right? So the thing is, like, I know I shouldn't say that, but it's true. So I ask women, why they want to change, what I need to find out from an emotional level. And the amount of women that I speak to, that it boils down to, they haven't got enough confidence to go out on a Saturday night and feel good about themselves, or wear a certain length dress. And it's just so sad, because I find it quite upsetting, because actually, if people just put a little bit more energy into themselves and prioritize themselves a little bit each day, like I have a mantra: I will train 40 minutes a day. I only train 40 minutes a day, but what I can do in that period of time is a lot. And I make sure it's intense, and I make it more specific. So I'm going to use me as an example right now, without trying to boast or anything like that, because I'm not boasting. I believe in quality over quantity. And I will say I will do 3 solid weight sessions Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I will do 3 solid HIIT sessions Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I make sure I walk at least an hour every single day. But guys, I work 12+ hour days. I have over 1,000 online clients, and I have a very busy clinic. I am a busy guy, right? But I make sure I put in my diary when I'm training, and I still have time to get home, prep my meals, and get it all ready for the next day, because failure is not an option in my industry, and you don't get paid to look terrible. And I'm sorry, that sounds awful, but that's just the way it is. But everyone on this call can just start to implement little things. And when you start prioritizing yourself a little bit more, and realizing it's down to self-respect, and you're doing it because you love yourself, you change your mindset. Because when you hate yourself, it just drives you into the ground, and you don't want to do it anymore. And if anyone on this call asks themselves now and say, yeah, I don't feel good in a bikini, or yeah, I don't like going out on a Saturday night because I don't feel good about myself. If you've ever not gone to an event because you don't feel good about yourself or not confident, and I find that really upsetting, because that's not how it should be. Nutrition and wellness and exercise can change all that. And it doesn't take 2 hours a day. You don't have to go to a gym. You just got to be more aware of what you put in there. Okay. And you got to be more mindful that exercise is paramount. It needs to be a religion that you need to do every single day.
Yeah. And I say absolutely hear to that, because I'm true testament myself to doing exactly that. I know how I didn't used to look after myself during my 20s, and I know absolutely how my life has utterly turned around through making myself a priority on a daily basis, and then that's why it's so gorgeous to then be able to go on and help other people in that way. So but yeah, it's just absolutely awesome for you to be able to share so much knowledge with us, James. So really thank you for your time, because I do know how busy you are. So for those guys that are on the call, James and I have been doing some awesome work. I've been following one of James's awesome program over the last probably month or so, because I wanted to make some changes to myself, and we're early days into that. But the big voice of James is loud and clear, which is, if you want results, it takes consistency. And if you want to really change, then you've got to be really prepared to go to work on yourself. And this, from my standpoint, how I always help people with on a nutritional basis, is let's just start making baby simple steps. Okay, So that might be that we're implementing some better baseline nutrition, whole food nutrition, as James very much touched on or spoke about when he was speaking, the way you recover your body, the way you need to put, the correct amount of protein into your body. This all correlates between how I work and then how James works. And James's program is foolproof. So I'm really excited because I have a huge customer base, and James's extra bit for an extra couple of pounds a week has got this amazing online program that is just so gorgeous to be able to follow, input what you do, incredible workouts, etc., etc. So you kind of just can't fail, really. So I've put together, and I won't go necessarily into it right now, but I've put together a very simple, packaged up way of what I offer, which is baseline whole food nutrition, vegan plant-based protein, and incorporating James's monthly program. And, the maximum cost of any of those is £26 a week, which, that is allowing you to be able to fuel yourself, recover yourself well with protein, and be able to have James's program, or £21 a week or £16 a week, and you will utterly be able to transform. So I wanted just to be able to quickly share that and be excited about being able to, just bring James's awesome knowledge to the table, and to really say thanks so much for that, James. And I obviously will follow up after the call. But is there anything else you want to add, or is there anything that anybody else would like to ask? We've got 5 minutes of the call left until it will just time out. So if anybody has any questions from a nutrition perspective, from a training perspective, please drop them in the chat box. Is there anything else you feel like you would like to add, James?
Well, I think when people realize that every action they've carried out in their life has led them to where they are today, and we're a product of our environment. So, and like I keep saying about, people say about genetics, I get it a lot, and it's like, well, there's a little joke in our industry saying, no, you're consuming too many calories for your genes. So it's kind of like, what we mean by that is we're actually we're a product of our environment. I'm a twin. Now, if a twin you have two, obviously twins, and they could be living in two different environments, and one will age faster than the other, and one will be in different shapes, but they could have started off identical twins. Genetic expression. What I'm trying to carry out now is look at your environment that you're in, look at all the stimuluses you're having, look at the people that's influencing your life, look at your work, and it's led you to look and feel the way you are today, whether that's good or not. There's other ways and means you need to step outside these environments. You might need to be out of a comfort zone slightly for things to change. Because if you continue down the road you are now, nothing's going to change. It may get better, it may get worse. You've got to really assess your life as well. Before you even start any sort of program, you've got to look at everything, and you've got to make sure it means something to you. So.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely key, and that's what I always love about helping anybody, is that everything is possible. To be able to, it's all possible to be able to change.
Absolutely, doesn't matter what age. Doesn't matter what age.
It doesn't matter the age, and it's about finding that real kind of driving force, and trusting the process as well. That's what I always say to people: just trust the process. There's some people on this call that I've taken on massive health journeys and helped transform, and it's been so exciting to be able to do that. But they didn't give up, and that's the thing. You got to start and stay in line, and just put those baby steps in place every single day, foundationally, health-wise, and exercise is utterly key to getting those results that you want. So,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got.
Hi there. Hello. It's Nikki. I'm listening intently here, but trying to be very, very quiet and listen to every single word you're saying. And I just wanted to say thank you to both of you. I've managed to actually get on and hear everything.
Oh,
and it's been incredible. And am I able to just say, I'm just thinking about how one's life can be just so incredibly powering when everything is sort of all on top of you. And one of the things that James just said there, that he's a very, very busy man, and he manages to find the time to do all of these things. Of course, it's part of your job, and that is, you know, sacrosanct for you to be doing that. But I think what I can get from this is that a way that you could override all of the excuses is to use it as an anchor. If you're, regardless of whatever else is going on in your life, the one constant can be looking after your body, looking after your nutrition. Everything else can be flying around, but as long as you've got that as your anchor, then you'll be able to cope with everything else. And that's just dawned on me here, because I was sort of, little questions are just coming up in my head about, yes, my thing that I've got with food, and that I just do not feed myself. My stomach can be really, really hungry, but I've got this sort of love-hate relationship with food.
Nikki, my
that I've had since a child.
I'm going to have to just interrupt you because I'm so terrified.
You've got to go.
No, it's going to time out. The call is going to time out because.
Yes. Well, thank you, and that's just all. I just wanted to share that. But thank you so much, guys.
I've got
so
it
excited.
I've got it recorded. I'll be in touch with everybody. If you want to just drop any messages into our group, we're going to bring regular calls with different angles to be able to help people in different ways. So just stay locked into us being able to help you, and trust the process, guys. And thanks so much for everybody joining. And I just wanted to get in case it suddenly just timed out. And thank you so much, James. And I'll send you the recording. All right.
Cheers.
And Nikki, thank you very much. And I'm sorry to cut you short. All right.
No, bless you. Bless you. That's fine. Thank you.
Lots of love, and I'm going to just end the call and be in touch with you all separately. All right. So lots of love, everybody. Thank you, James. Thanks, everybody. Bye.